Hello, and welcome to the Journyx feature training webinar for our Opus release version 12.5. My name is Meredith Zachritz, and I'm the Director of Product here at Journyx, and I'll be walking you through this training sessions on the new features available, both in the Opus release and in our new Journyx Mobile release. It's timed roughly at the same time, also version 12.5. So we'll walk through all of that today. I'm going to start with just an overview of what the features are. We'll take a look at them, and then we'll do a question and answer portion of the webinar. So feel free at any time to use the questions tab in your GoToMeeting window to submit your questions throughout the webinar, and then we'll cover them when we finish the reviewing each of the features. So that's my intro. Let's go ahead and get started. So there are a number of new features that we'll take a look at today. We'll start with the activity monitor, which is a cool new tool for administrators, Journyx administrators in your company, to take a look at what's going on in the system real time. And we'll look at kind of the system activity, who's doing what, and you can use this for a variety of, potential, spot usage monitoring, as well as a debugging tool if you're seeing performance issues, or somebody's wondering, something is happening and they're wondering, what if there might be a problem with the system. Your activity monitor can help you with that. And so we'll take a look at what it tracks and how you can use it. Then we'll move on to some overhaul of the Journyx PX module. Specifically, we redid the user experience and workflows for the task assignment process. And it has a lot of pretty major improvements, and we'll do a quick overview of what that looks like, what the process looks like, and how that's been improved, as well as resource requisitions for Journyx PX that allow you to request that a resource manager assign individual resources where you as the project manager have already made a team assignment. So we added that team assignment ability to pass that along to the resource managers to break into individual assignments. And then finally, we'll take a look at what's coming in mobile as well with this release. Biometric login. Yay, you don't have to enter your credentials every time your session times out over and over with your biometric login if you choose to use it. And then some support for some submission cases, interim submit, and we'll take a look at what that is if you're not familiar with it, and some customers who need to be able to submit future sheets if you have that ability. Particularly in this case where, say, vacation is known and before you leave, you need to submit that sheet for vacation or leave. And so mobile will allow you to do that in this latest release. So let's go ahead and jump to our site. And we'll start with the activity monitor. So for all administrators, that's a role in the Journyx system. If you are an administrator, you will see a new option under your Analyze menu called Activity Monitor. And it will look something like this. I'm going to expand the request that we're seeing because I did do some activities on the site that you can take a look at. But as you'll note, this is not a tool where we keep history forever and ever. It tracks a lot of information. Those log files get large quickly. So right now what you'll see here is that roughly 2 hours of activity is tracked here, and then we rotate logs. And obviously, when we've got a situation where we're trying to look at this to see if something is going wrong or something is getting stuck or long running, we might reproduce it to see it here live. But we have these options and you can actually reduce this amount of time with a system setting if you don't want it to track as much as it's tracking, but you have the option to see, to the max amount that your system allows to track these types of activities. So there are requests, and there's some information on what that request is. We tell you when it happens, who made the request, how long it took. A lot of different information here to help you, like I said, either monitor some type of usage or debug an issue, or, you know, for me, honestly, it's just kind of interesting to see some of these things. So we can take a look just at, you know, all the different folks we have here. I did a little bit of mobile testing before I got on here, and so all this JX API information is kind of what mobile's doing to get Brian's time and track time and so forth. So that's kind of fun. But you can see, you know, for reports, managers running reports, for example, I can see what report they ran. I can see how long it took to run. So it's all, you know, like fairly interesting data. If I click on one of these rows, I get even more information related to the request and what was done. And while it's a little tricky to make this happen or replicate this in, you know, a test site, if I were to have a process that was long running or perhaps stuck, let's say a report that's now been running for, you know, several minutes, I would come in here and I would see an option to stop that process. So as an administrator, if you have some report where somebody's having some issue and it seems to be stuck and the process won't stop running, you can come here and pull up a running process that other than the activity monitor and stop that process. So some really interesting tools here. Obviously, you know, so you can search by the you can sort by the request type to see different information. You can search for specific things. So I can see every request that Alex has made in the past 60 minutes. And of course, then see details on what those requests were, how long they took, etc. So there's some pretty powerful information here. Right now, like I said, the use case for this is kind of short-term usage, reproducing issues or problems to see what we can see here. You know, if you talk to support, our support team may ask you to go here and try something and take a look at the data. So you know, pretty powerful stuff. But obviously, if you think about all the things you might do, there are also some interesting use cases involving longer term data, longer term usage. And so we will be expanding on these capabilities. But I encourage you guys to take a look at this when you upgrade and to see what questions it brings up, what what you might be interested in terms of other information that maybe isn't provided here, but could be interesting. So that's your activity monitor, and that's available in all versions of Journyx, WX, JX, and PX. So let's move on now to the PX user experience overhaul, this kind of workflow redesign to make handling assignments more intuitive, easier, simple layouts that allow you to kind of access the complex, etc. So we're dealing here with scheduled projects, which are the projects that come with Journyx PX, where we have set, start and end dates. We have set work estimates, and then we make assignments. And so we have, I'm going to start with a project that's not currently assigned. So I've already set up my project. I put in, the amount of estimated work, my start and end dates, and now I'm going to make assignments. And we have changed this workflow pretty dramatically, both visually and in terms of the steps to handle it. And so I can look at the task info only. Like I said, I already set up my task, so you can see I put in some scheduled work. This is a brand new task, so nothing's assigned. I have my start and end dates, and if I need to adjust those here before I start making assignments, I can. Or I can move on to selecting my unassigned work to start managing. And so again, this popover panel is, we used to go page to page to page, and then you'd have to go back and you would lose kind of where you are and what you were doing. So this popover panel is intended to make it easier to see, this is your task you're working with. These are your assignments. So we can see nobody's assigned to this just yet. So we can search for users to assign. And what we'll get is my default search. So this is what I had some filters set, and it remembers my filters. And so what it's bringing up is some users and some teams here for me. And so I could assign this to a team, and we'll go ahead and do that. And I can just create it. And I can continue to work with things here. I can change dates or assignment work, or I can just close the panel. And I now have my team assignment. Now we can move on from here. I probably wouldn't do this right away, but we can pretend that we've now moved closer to the date when this is going to start. And rather than do an agile team assignment where essentially everybody on that team can kind of grab this assignment and start working on it, I am going to divide it up as the project manager. It's time for us to pick individuals. And so I want to reassign this to individuals. So I'm searching. Now this time I don't want teams, and I want people in Austin. So I'm going to change my filters. So I'm going to take teams off of here. And I've got my Austin. And let's say in this case, the skills aren't important. So I'm going to change up my filters. I'm going to search again. And so I get some folks that I can take a look at. And I can kind of, visually eyeball who has the most time here and who do I want to give this to. And let's say I want to do Alex and Brian. But I could just say, okay, I'm going to create these and split them evenly. I've got 200 hours of work here, so I could give them each 100 hours. But Alex has more time than Brian. So instead, I'm going to modify and create, which means that I can go and do all sorts of things to their assignments that individually to make them unique. So instead of just saying Alex and Brian, you get the exact same assignment split in half, I'm going to say, no, let's give Alex a little bit more time, Brian a little less. And I'm going to have Brian start a little later. So I can change up different aspects of the assignment here in this screen. And then I can also manage custom fields related to the assignments, whether they be rate fields or any other custom field that you have created in your system to be tied to the assignment. So I have this great process now. If those of you who have ever worked with assigning unevenly, our former process was, adjust this one, okay, now go back to the next one, adjust that one. It was pretty tedious. So this is way, way better than it used to be, and makes it pretty quick and easy to review what you're doing and get it done. But it also makes it easier, just from a training perspective, getting started. Everything has the tooltip. Everything kind of tells you what you're doing. So you can see Alex got 150 and Brian got 50, and Brian's dates are slightly different than Alex's for the start. So all of that is doable in that one screen, and it's really quick and easy to compare and see exactly what you're doing. Other things we added just to make all of this more intuitive, there's a color key here. As you see, these color graphs have different meanings based on color. And so the color key makes it quick and easy to figure out. If you can't remember what light green means, then you can look at your color key and check that out. Now there's some other features on this popover panel that are worth noting. One is that you have an option we have simplified this view a lot. You don't see quite as much as you would see on the big full screens as you went screen to screen. However, if you like that old view where you can see all the numbers and the access to the calendars and all that kind of stuff, we have an ability to do a more detailed view. And if this is the view you like and want to default to, we'll remember that. So the next time that you open up this panel, it will stick with the detailed view. So everything here pretty much remembers what you last did, whether it be your filters for your search or showing details, etc., and will return to that view the next time until you change it. So you have that option. Same thing here with how many users to show. We only have 2 here, but if it defaults to 5 and you'd rather see a list of 10 or all or whatever you want, again, you can change that and it will be remembered. One final thing to show here in terms of the visual changes. The bar workload graphs that we redesigned in the previous release, but they are now used much more extensively in the new workflows. But there was also this option to view a detailed calendar. And so we'll take a look at it here. And you can click on the calendar to view an individual's detailed calendar. And this calendar is based on this particular task and the dates that the user is assigned. But we can also select more than one and stack them so that you can kind of see how allocated Alex is versus Brian. So helpful information, and you can stack as many as you need to, while you're planning, while you're trying to figure out, well, you can also see, I don't have it set up here to show like some vacation days or holidays, but if either one of these users had a vacation or holiday set up during this time, like we ought to have a Christmas holiday here, right? It would be a gray bar that would go up to the 8 hours. If somebody had scheduled vacation, we could see a block of vacation and potentially adjust their assignment dates to accommodate for or plan for the fact that they won't be working during that vacation. So these availability calendars are handy that way, and they have been enlarged and redesigned to make them easier to view and look for time. All right. So I think that covers, there are lots and lots of workflows associated with the way you can make assignments, whether you're doing single assignment or multi-assignment and so forth. But I think it's fairly easy to see how you can quickly split hours evenly, how you can modify assignments to be completely unique to each individual. Again, how you convert a team assignment to individual assignments and so forth with this demo. And of course, your account manager can show you other instances that you might be interested in. The other improvement for PX that I want to note, I may just have to create a project quickly to do this, is that you can now pass on a team assignment to a resource manager to make the assignments. So I'm a project manager, and while I can, assign a team to a particular project, let's say I'm not allowed to assign the individual resources who are going to work it. There's a supervisor who supervises that department or those people with those skills, etc. And so I can, caching a little there, I can assign this to a team, which I'm going to have to fix my search results again to show my teams. Let's add back our teams. Where did my teams go? Yeah. Closer to the top there. There they are. So I'm going to assign this to a team. But then as the time approaches, I may decide that, okay, it's time to get my resource manager associated with this on making individual assignments. We're about to do the work in a few weeks, and I need those to be assigned to individuals, but I can't do it myself. So I'm going to save and create a requisition. There we go. And since there's only one team assignment, I don't have to, if I had 2 teams assigned to this, and I could pick which team assignment I wanted, but I can send that off to my resource manager. Where is she? I might not have her assigned to the right, yeah, so we'll just give it to Alex, that's fine. But prior to 12.5, the Opus release, you could not open resource requisitions for tasks that had team assignments. Only completely unassigned tasks were open for this resource requisition functionality. So now you can pass along team assignments. And as I mentioned, if we had 2 team assignments, so if this task was split between 2 teams, I could send one team assignment to one resource manager and another to a second resource manager. So a lot of more flexibility there when you as the project manager need others to make your resource assignments for you. So that pretty well wraps up what we have for project managers and assigning related to Journyx PX. So let's move on to mobile. I'll give this just a moment to get my mobile screen up on the screen. It's been a little bit slow today. There we go. So if you'll watch carefully, you'll see first that I do have my Face ID saved in this case, my iPhone and my iOS device. Journyx does not save any biometric data at all. It simply plugs in to the device biometric information. So as long as you have something, whether it be Face ID or a thumbprint saved in your device, whether it be iOS or Android, you'll be good to go. But again, Journyx doesn't store this data. It's just we just tap into what your device has. So if you don't have biometric data saved and set up in your device, then we will not ask you if you'd like to use it. Now I already have mine set up and turned on. So if you'll watch as it boots up, you'll see a Face ID. There it goes. And it logs me right in. So even though my session had expired, I didn't have to go and enter all of my login information again. So when you first install or update to mobile 12.5, it will ask you if you want to use your thumbprint or Face ID or however, it's explained. They're referred to in slightly different ways on Android versus iOS, but you'll have the option to say yes or no at the time that you first open the app after it's been updated. After that, you can control it under Profile, so you can turn it on or off as you wish. So if you accidentally say no when they have first prompt you to use it, you can always come here and turn it on. And if you decide that you don't want to use it, then you can always come here and turn it off. So pretty easy to control, but it is going to be really nice to not have to re-enter your login credentials, especially on SSO, which tends to move kind of slowly. So Face ID is pretty handy that way. So otherwise, what we have here to cover are the submission features, and it's really just adding some submission flexibility to mobile. Prior to mobile 12.5, when you went to click on this clock icon at the top to see what sheet you could submit, you would only see through open sheets through the current period. And now, if you view and add amounts, time or expense amounts, to a future sheet, it will appear here as an option for submission. Now, it does not support currently submitting blank future sheets, although I'll say I am not aware at the moment of any use cases where we would need to, but it is worth mentioning that the future sheets that appear for submission in mobile do have to have some sort of time or expense amount logged on that sheet. So we can see that I have this future sheet where I have logged time off. So this is an example that I gave you at the beginning. What's very common is I'm taking next week off. I need to go ahead and submit my sheets, that I'm not getting late notifications on Friday that my sheet hasn't been submitted. And in mobile, prior to 12/5, I could not access that sheet for submission. Now, one condition, you do have to view the sheet in mobile for it to show up in the submission list. And again, the most common use case for this is somebody that is kind of almost 100% mobile, so a field services person. So I'm logging my time this week, I log it all in mobile. I've got to have a way in mobile to submit my sheet for next week on time. So again, this kind of allows you to do that. And I just viewed another sheet and it popped up as it has time available as well. So I have two future sheets where time's available. So I'll go ahead and submit this one. It's complete. And I get a submission confirmation. So it's really fairly simple. And the use cases are also fairly simple. Primarily mobile user, viewing the future sheet if you have the ability. Some people can't view future sheets and that will still be respected in mobile. But if you can view future sheets and submit future time in the browser, you can do it here as well, provided your sheet isn't blank. So then the other piece of submission flexibility that we added to mobile as well is interim submission. And the button is actually submit work in progress. And so the idea here is that we have with interim submission, for those of you who have used it, is that we can submit a partial sheet for approval before we submit the full and completed sheet for the period. This is frequently used for daily sync and billing to other systems, cases like that. So frequently what they have their users doing is submitting their work daily, but not submitting the full timesheet until the period is complete. And so we'll go ahead and submit, but we have a couple of days logged in our current period, and I'm going to go ahead and submit that. Whoops, punch times. So I have to fix my punch times before we do that. Let's go see where I don't have punch times done correctly. Oh, I think neither one of them have punch times. No, that does. Okay. That does. I may have time logged here. All right, let's try this again. Not, I may have to go back to the mobile drawing board for testing. Ah, I see. Oh, interesting. I'm actually submitting the wrong period, aren't I? Yes. All right. Sorry about that. Let's try the current period that I was actually looking at. I don't know what day it is apparently. Okay, and now it says I don't have a punch out for Thursday. Fair enough. Okay. All right, so let's one more time. Okay, well, I think I have my data in a state, so I will have to show this again, not a problem. Suffice it to say that in the user interface, what you'll see when you interim submit. So I have 3 days, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd time, but I haven't finished filling out my timesheet for the 4th or the 5th. I will see a lock icon next to this customer support entry, this entry here, and it will not allow me to modify it further. So it will indicate that it is interim submitted. So I apologize. I'm not sure if I have, I think I might have a setting where I submit through the end of the day, and it's not happy that my Thursday doesn't have time in it right now. So I'll get that straightened out and we can show that again at another time. All right. I think that pretty well covers the new features in mobile as well. So I'm going to stop sharing and I will open up the floor for questions. All right. Don't seem to be any questions so far. If you have questions, now's the time. All right. Well, I'll just go over my last little bit here. Just that as everyone knows, Journyx 12 is available in the Journyx cloud. And we have training and upgrade services with our professional services department. And you're welcome at this point to talk to your account manager about a demo site. They are available and you can try this out if you'd like to see that interim submission configured properly so that you can see the way it behaves as you interim submit. Again, your account managers can help you out with that, and I'll make sure that they don't make the mistake that I did with configuration so that we see things working correctly. If there are no further questions, I want to just thank you for your time today. Really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to be with us and learn more about our next release. And you can feel free to contact me or your account manager to find out more. We will be sending a follow-up email with a recording from this training, and we'll be happy to help you in any way we can to get you up to the latest Journyx release. Thanks, and have a great day.